Ole Miss had potentially the most roller coaster 96 hours Ole Miss sports has ever had in their history. And we're going to talk to Michael Katz and get the skinny on what went down.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We're going to bring in Michael Katz from the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal to give his thoughts on basically the last 96 hours, just kind of get an insider perspective of all that stuff. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now it's the #1 sports podcast network in the entire country. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. And check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available. Your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, Michael, one thing that's interesting. Tell me, man, you got some sleep after all this. This has been some of the most bizarre 96 hours I can remember.
After the dust had settled on Sunday, I'm not even kidding, I slept 12 hours. I have not slept that well in years because, when you're covering this kind of thing, you have to be up really late, right? Because you don't know when something might happen. And then with the former head coach being an early morning yoga guy, you also have to be up early just to make sure you don't miss anything. So, I'm admittedly not a morning person. I'll be the first hand up. That is not me. A lot of late nights and early mornings heading into it. And then just, really when we got back from the Egg Bowl, I was actually driving. I drove to Starkville with another member of the media, and we spent the whole drive back. I was driving. He spent it refreshing his social media to make sure we didn't miss something. I was like, that's where we were. And then Saturday was crazy because we thought that was when it was going to happen, and then it didn't happen. And then the meeting happened, and then we heard things from the meeting. And then, of course, Sunday was the day of reckoning.
Yeah, and I think it was Keith Carter. He's either on Richard Cross's program or one of the other podcasts he did. He found out basically at like 6 o'clock that night, and it was just a wrench on the Iron Bowl that stretched it into Sunday a little bit. And listen, Lane has been completely dug in on this stuff, and he's on a vindictive petty streak right now that is just second to none, and he's intent on burning down Ole Miss. But I will say this, if Ole Miss didn't have Keith Carter and the brain trusts that are around, you might have to worry about it. Right now, I honestly think it's mostly bluster.
Yeah, I think they're over it. It's over. It's done. He's out. I mean, he can go on the petty tour all he wants, but it's not like they're going to change their minds on anything. I had a good conversation with Keith today, and it was like he made it very clear that I know Lane has said that he was fighting to the very end to coach the team, that he thought he might be able to. Keith made it very clear to me that Lane knew weeks ago that if he took another job, he was not coaching this team in the playoff. That was, as Keith told me, a non-starter. That was never going to happen. So there's been a lot about that. Obviously, we saw his statement that he put out, I guess it was Sunday, right before Pete got officially announced, and saying, despite players begging me to stay on, and then as we've seen, some players have spoken up, and they said, not so fast. That is not what we did. Just a lot of he said stuff going on. It's just, I've been thinking about it this is my 5th season, and I've covered some of the best football that's been at Ole Miss. I mean, I've been truly fortunate to cover this successful era, and it's just sort of a shame. This is how that ends, right? That specific era ends. The Lane Kiffin era ends with the bridge completely on fire.
One thing I can't wait for, one of the rumors is out there, is he's going to eventually have to give stump speeches for the governor of Louisiana. That is something I need videoed. I need to see him out rallying the troops for some kind of a Louisiana convention.
Can you imagine? Well, I mean, he's going to have to schmooze boosters now too. like big time. I can't see that going great.
Yeah. Oh,
he hated it here. I know that.
Hey, he was there for 36 hours, and he already ticked off Frank Wilson, who is the one person that you can't piss off at LSU. And it's like, okay, this has a chance. Now, they could win down there because Ed Orgeron won down there, so that means anybody can do it. But there's also a chance this is just a train wreck.
50-50 shot. Oh, maybe. I mean, listen, he can coach. There's no question. It's just that sometimes the way it happens, or the way that the antics, sometimes they boil over. I think it's going to be, he had a pretty long leash here in terms of things he could do, and then the way he could do them, and obviously it worked. I don't know if that leash is that long at LSU, particularly with literally the governor being involved in this whole thing.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. Now, the other thing is, when do you think that Keith Carter decided on Pete Golding, and just not only that, decided to just go with it?
Yeah, so that was one of the things we talked about today, and it was really interesting when I asked them, because I was like, were you, with the timeline of this thing, obviously you're hoping Lane's going to stay, but there's a chance that he won't. Like, were you able to vet candidates? And he basically was like, we were starting to kind of vet candidates for 8 weeks, like the second the Florida job came open, because that was and then LSU. So it became a possibility that there was this sort of thing happening. And from what Keith said, Pete was always at the top of that list, not just for the long term, because he as Keith told me, he has a plan, he knows what he's doing, all those sorts of things, but also for the short term too, just if you're trying to galvanize the group for the playoff, like there's nothing better, especially if you're going to be able to keep the coordinators for the playoff run. It just makes too much sense, though. It sounds like the combination of, obviously you want to see this, you'd love to win a national championship this year, obviously that's the goal, and that's a possibility.
That would have a nuclear reaction from Baton Rouge. Oh my gosh.
It'd be really funny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But I think that, and just, I think they really, I think a lot of us, I'm sure you feel the same way. Like we all knew Pete Golding was going to be a head coach eventually. It was just like, when is it going to happen? Where is it going to happen? Because he's that well thought of in circles. And so, as Keith told me, it's just like, what are we doing? Like, we have the guy right here. Like, let's not waste time. And so I guess there was a conversation, the interim versus, the permanent thing. I know that was, at least for me, I was curious how they were going to do that. And obviously it turned out being permanent. And then just kind of from what Keith told me, it was, if you think you have your guy, let everyone know, let the team know, because there was no one more thrilled about it than the team, as you probably heard from that video and saw from the video that Ole Miss posted.
Yeah, and there's the video picture of Austin Simmons and Pete Golding at the basketball game, and it was like, I haven't seen him smile like that since before the football season.
I mean, literally like a twinkle in his eyes, in all of their eyes. I mean, one, the fiasco's finally over, and I'm sure that is a huge weight off everybody's shoulders. But two, like, Pete's a football guy. Pete's a guy's guy, especially for football. And I think that they know that he's always in their corner, and that was never in doubt. They never had to question where Pete's allegiances were.
Yeah, this guy literally was the defensive coordinator at Texas San Antonio, got on a whiteboard in front of Nick Saban and basically talked himself into being the defensive coordinator at Alabama. That's how brilliant this guy is on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's as good as it gets. And obviously the recruiting is a big part of it too. He's an elite recruiter, and I think that is probably a big part of this as well. But yeah, I mean, look, the last 3 years with Pete Golding have been 3 of the best years in Ole Miss history. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah, if you look at the records, look at Lane Kiffin's record at Ole Miss, his first 3 years versus his last 3 years, and you can you can clearly see the kind of that line in the sand. All right, when we come back, we are going to get into the playoffs because there's a home playoff game coming to Oxford, Mississippi. We'll talk to Michael Katz all about that in just a second. Just stand by for that. You know, NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. What makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting is that you're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets on the action as it unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips on a turnover, or going forward on your own 25 on a 4th and 17. All of that can flip the momentum, and FanDuel lets you jump in on that moment. Live spreads, money lines, adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up, and you can bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps everything locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment to the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcatcher you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but it helps keep all of this free. Locked On is getting ready to change the game again on Monday. All in the name of having fun following your team. We'll let you know when it comes out. And thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in America. That is all on you. All right, Michael, one thing in this roller coaster of a 96 hours, Tuesday night was one of the best days in Ole Miss football history.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's this national narrative going around that Ole Miss.
I wonder who started it.
Well, yeah. There's a certain network that has had a hand in this.
Yeah.
But you know that well, if Ole Miss doesn't have a coach, how should they be in the playoff? And Florida State got penalized for not having a quarterback, and blah 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 blah. And I've always felt really strongly that that's a really stupid argument because, one, we had data points of what Florida State looked like without its quarterback, and it was bad.
Multiple games.
Yes. We have no idea what Ole Miss would look like without Lane. We truly don't. And the other thing is that now that you know that the coordinators are going to be there, I mean, you're going to penalize an 11-1. You're not going to let an 11-1 SEC team host. I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing here? So it was. I think I know the committee gets a lot of flack for a lot, but I think they moved Ole Miss up a spot this week and they were ahead of Texas A&M, who obviously just had their first loss. But I think I think they understand the situation that. Listen, we don't know what it's going to look like, but you can't penalize a team that's done as much as it's done, who's going to have most likely its entire cast of characters, not just coaching other than Lane, but also players.
Well, that's if Lane allows that to happen.
Well,
because, he puts out statements all the time about what he's allowing Ole Miss to do.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
a lot of statements going around. But I think that the committee realized, or at least understood that they don't have their head coach right now, but they've got everything else, and everything else is pretty darn good. So good on them for and I don't know what the final one's going to look like, but it's hard for me to see them dropping enough in some world to where they aren't hosting, because if you look who's right behind them, it's the team they beat on the road that has 2 losses. So, I mean, I don't even think that's a conversation. So I don't give the committee props a lot, but I will say I think they got that one right.
And one thing's interesting. On the show I did this morning, I put out 4 Power 4 teams that could be coming to Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. And there's also 2 G5 teams or 3 G5 teams that you could see, because Tulane and North Texas, the winner, could be in that slot. Or if James Madison gets into the playoff, they could end up in that spot if Ole Miss moves around. But Virginia seems like the most likely right now. Virginia beating Duke, and it's almost like an Ole Miss Virginia game. It's going to happen.
And that's an interesting matchup. Virginia, kind of like Ole Miss, has kind of come out of nowhere a little bit. Probably Virginia more so. I mean, Ole Miss was at least ranked before the season started. Virginia, I mean, did they even make a bowl game last year? I mean, they've really sort of been a surprise. I think Tony Elliott was on the hot seat there for a bit, and he was just named ACC Coach of the Year. So yeah, I that's. And then you've got the conversation around the ACC is electric. What if Duke wins?
Oh my gosh. That means that the Sun Belt could get into the playoff. That's what that means.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful, perfect sport.
Listen, I do not want to play a G5 team in the playoff in the first round.
Why?
The win and everything is fine, but you're either going to probably have to face a rematch with Tulane, which that's always going to be tricky. Getting the guys' attention to say, hey, you better take this team that you beat 45-10 seriously, that has a chance to get weird. And James Madison's just a really good team.
Is their coach coaching them in the playoff? I know he went to UCLA.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, no, they're dynamic. They're really
So I would almost rather play Virginia than either of those two.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because even if you win, it's like, well, you were supposed to beat them, and if you lose,
it's like, oh, you didn't have Lane Kiffin, so
they should have never been in the first place.
Yeah, see, we were right all along. Yeah, it's all of that would be there. And do you think that in this last thing that Notre Dame would fall out and Miami's going to jump them?
Man, that's because Notre Dame's, they moved down to 10, right? I think Alabama's 9 now, and and Miami's 12?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can have the conversation. I mean, listen, we saw what happened when they played, right? Like, it literally happened.
Yeah.
Miami won. And I know Notre Dame is different than they were in week 1 or week 2, whatever it was. But if
those games count.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, then don't play the games if you're going to do the hypothetical thing.
Yeah.
It's a little. I don't know how Miami could jump that much, like, in 1 week without playing. You know what I mean?
BYU beats Texas Tech,
and
they're side by side at that point.
Man, what Notre Dame's 110 in a row? I think they start off 0-2, right?
But they haven't beaten anybody.
Yeah, I mean, please, my USC Trojans, please. And like Pittsburgh. I mean, it hasn't been murderer's row for them.
I will say this: if Ole Miss could get Notre Dame and Oxford, that would be the biggest city in Mississippi, and they would make $150 million for the city of Oxford that weekend.
I mean, it's already going to be the biggest game in the history of the state. I mean, I don't think there's any question. Could you? I mean, if you get an opposing fan base like that, whew.
That's only going to get 3,500 tickets, because I guarantee you Keith Carter's only sending them 3,500 tickets.
StubHub is going to be insane.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely nuts, and we'll talk about that when we come back, and I will slide in my campaign idea for what I think that Ole Miss should do in the football game as well as soon as we come back. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every single time. It's not something you wrap. It's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't just your average picture frame. You can preload that frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Send this to grandparents, parents, and newlyweds, anyone who loves photos. Endless uploads of pictures and 30-second videos through the Aura app. Add a personalized message right inside the frame so the gift feels meaningful the moment it's open. Packaging comes gift ready, no price tag, no wrapping needed. Huge win. It is a holiday gift that actually gets used, not forgotten in their drawer. For a limited time, you can save on this perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by the way, by using the code COLLEGE at checkout. That's AURAFrames.com, promo code COLLEGE. The deal is exclusive to the listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now and get it just in time for the holidays. And also support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Michael, I want your idea of this, and I'm going to put up a picture of what's going on and what I think. Our favorite narcissist down the road is going to be watching this game. The Yellow Helmet Brigade is going to be rooting for whoever Ole Miss is playing in this game, just so he can say, see, told you he needed to coach. It's guaranteed. So in my opinion, Ole Miss needs to figure out a way to take the narrative off of Lane Kiffin. And you do that by returning the narrative to the winningest coach in Ole Miss history and the coach the last time an era like this happened. I think that Ole Miss needs to go what I am calling full JHVs, essentially. Wear the John Howard Vaught helmets. That's the number on the side of the helmets. Wear the red jerseys, the gray pants, everything. That is a uniform combination that Lane Kiffin has never worn at Ole Miss. It puts the emphasis back on that era when Ole Miss was in this position before. And heck, take it a step further and make a playoff tradition out of it to where anytime Ole Miss is in the postseason, the numbers go on the helmet. What do you think?
Is that John Rice Plumlee right there?
That is John Rice Plumlee.
Wow. So it's been a while.
Yeah, that this uniform has not come out since 2019. That was that LSU game, by the way, that he went nuts.
I mean, we talked about this before the show, but we know what Lane was going to wear. It was going to be powder blue of some sort, right? That tends to
powder blue helmets and powder blue jerseys.
That's a big game situation. I really like that uniform. I just think that no matter what, I don't think they can do powder blue.
Yeah, powder blue.
I don't. That's
in nothing. If you play 4 games in the playoffs, you cannot wear the powder blue jerseys.
Yeah.
Because there's just too fresh Lane stink on those jerseys, and that's another reason you need to get back to being traditional.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ole Miss has a lot of really good uniforms that aren't powder blue. So, yeah, I think it would be a good opportunity to sort of, I don't want to say like turn the page, because I think powder blue is going to be part of the repertoire going forward. But, it doesn't necessarily have to be right now, especially with the fresh wounds.
Yeah, something happened so quickly and all of that. And the city of Oxford by this, depending on who comes in, I think there was a study that said they were going to make around $70 million a year, or $70 million for this game. This is the 9th home game. This is a pretty good year for Oxford, Mississippi.
Goodness. I already don't go out the night before games because it scares me. I'm going to be absolutely mortified to leave my house the night before the game because downtown
like Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be a few days.
Yeah.
No, but man, if you're John Currents, a lot of your businesses are going to be very well attended.
Library might be charging a $250 cover charge.
My goodness, I cannot even imagine what that's going to look like. That and Funkies. Oh my god. Yeah. But man, it's going to be really cool to see that sort of event because it's truly it's the first time this sort of thing will have ever happened here with the gravity of the situation and all that. It's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah, and on top of everything else, Pete Golding's first ever game as a head coach is in the college football playoffs. That record will never get broken.
Crazy. I mean, it's nuts. Yeah. It's a lot of really cool storylines.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting. And when you talk to Keith and all that, did they mention anything about the setups and what they're doing for the game?
Still trying to figure that out, Fred, to my understanding. I think there's a lot of work to be done over once the announcement happens.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, these are a couple things on previous podcasts that I heard was that 13,000 student tickets are going to be available, but if you got season tickets, that doesn't matter. These will be first come, first serve. So don't just think that it's already taken care of because you got season tickets. You actually need to be at the front of the line. Heck, start camping out about right now if we're going to be completely honest, because Sunday at 4:00 or whenever it goes on sale, you want to be in a position to hit that rolling. What else what do people need to know going into this playoff that we're not thinking of, because all of this other stuff has dominated our thoughts for the last 4 days?
That's one of the really interesting things that Keith and I talked about, and my conversation with him is going to come out either Friday or Saturday. A really cool interview just about how this all unfolded, and I've had a lot of questions for him that I don't think he was able to answer until recently. So really thankful for his time on that. I think that one of the things that was frustrating for him was that there's so many cool storylines with this team, with Trinidad, and we know the D2, all that stuff, right? The offensive line has been so good for the most part this year, kind of surprised people. Keywan Lacey is one of the best running backs in America after barely getting any time at Mizzou last year. You've got a defense with all of these new players that is in the top 25 in scoring defense, which kind of caught me off guard when I saw what their points per game is. It's like right around 20. It's pretty good for modern college football.
Yeah, you're going to win a lot of games doing that.
Yeah, and there's so many cool storylines with this team, and it just didn't register nationally because the biggest storyline was always what's he going to do. So I think it's going to be, I think it's probably refreshing for Keith and honestly the players and the coaches and all that stuff that conversation's over. Like, now you can actually focus on this 11-1 team, like 11-1, first 11-win regular season in program history, the first 7-win SEC season since I think it was 2003. I mean, this is a pretty incredible season that I don't know if I'd say fly under the radar. I don't think Lane necessarily lets it fly under the radar, but I think he was above the radar in a lot of this. So it's a really cool team. And a lot of credit to them for, again, this has been a conversation since Florida fired Billy Napier, who actually just got hired by James Madison. Let me be the one to break the news on that. They hired him. So Sunbelt Billy is back.
Okay, that probably means Blake Baker's going to get the Tulane job then, which means that Ole Miss might get Deuce Gerald's, although right now is whenever he's going to sign. So we don't, by the time you watch this, we already know, but this was recorded on Thursday.
Yeah, I think that this team has done such a good job of compartmentalizing a really stressful situation that really could have gotten the best. In 2022, it got the best of that team. That team was clearly different once the rumors started. The rumors started here after Billy Napier was fired, and they didn't miss a beat. And that's really impressive. I think that's rare. I think it says a lot about the team, the atmosphere around the players, the leadership. And again, I think if you're looking at what the College Football Playoff Committee is looking at, look at what this team did amid everything when, Lane had a lot on his plate looking around. Look at what this team was able to do with that situation. Imagine what they can do without it. I mean, it's really, I think it's a testament to just how different this group was.
So the Keith story, is that what you got going on in the Daily Journal?
Yes. I think I'm gonna try to do there's a Q&A because I think I just want to get all his answers in there because he had some really interesting stuff. So that's either gonna drop Friday or Saturday morning. So that's the big one coming up.
All right, and we are going to talk to Walker Jones, and that's going to air on Saturday. And
you know who else is talking Saturday?
Yeah. What's that? Oh yeah, that's right. Our good narcissist friend is going to have his CAA appearance on College Game Day.
Credit to Pat McAfee for being like, what are you guys talking about on game day last week?
Yeah. Obviously he's not going to get the talking points or whatever. It'll be interesting to see if there's some pushback now that this is over. And Pete Golding, if I'm not mistaken, is a member of CAA.
He is, from what I've heard, yes.
So maybe it tones down a little bit, but I don't know. I generally don't know. Anyway, buddy, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week, man.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you later.
All right, take care. All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, Google Ole Miss podcast and see how much we come up. We're like 85% of that page. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it is totally free. Your support means the world to us. Check out Locked On SEC. Check out Locked On Vandy. Definitely want to check out Locked On Vandy because it definitely looks like Vandy is going to be left out of the playoffs. Corey Burton's going to be coming onto our site a little bit and helping out a little bit. We're going to have Mike Huseman, who does coaching search and all of that type stuff. He's going to be helping out a bit. You've seen Dalen. You're familiar with that. And David Johnson's going to contribute a little bit as well. We have a lot of stuff coming starting next week. So stay tuned for that. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, Ole Miss is in the playoffs. And that's an awesome, good thing. Enjoy this weekend, guys. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you later. Hotty toddy.